So you want to make a movie. In order to put together a movie, you normally have to do a lot of planning first in order to plan out the way you want your video to look. It's going to give you a much better product in the end, and it's going to be tell a much better story to your viewers who are going to be the ones watching it. It's a lot harder if you just kind of sit down and try to make it up as you go along. So a plan is extremely important. Now, depending on the type of movie you're doing, you could have a script. Let's say if you were going to do any kind of a narration where you were going to record your voice or maybe record people talking on camera into your movie, then you're going to need some kind of script that tells people what it is they're going to say. So I am making a PSA on the dangers of texting and driving. In this particular movie, I'm not going to have any video. I'm just going to have pictures. And I have gone ahead and written up a script for a short 30-second movie that I'm making. Okay. Now, the second part of putting that movie together is I want to have what's called a storyboard. A storyboard is a plan or a layout of exactly the way I want my movie to look before, again, I start touching iMovie and start putting anything together. So the way a typical storyboard looks, and there's a lot of different templates, is you'll normally have some kind of a spot for a sketch or an image that you can show what you want the viewer to see on the screen. You might give your shot a description that just kind of gives it a title so you know what it is. You may number it to make it easier to tell which one is first, second, third. And then you may have a spot for some notes or maybe dialogue or whatever the narration is that's going to be recorded in there. Again, all this changes slightly depending on the type of movie that you're going to make. So with my movie, in this particular script I've written, I want to start off my movie with a percentage sign. I want a big 25% to be on the screen. So I drew a sketch of what I want that to look like. In the background, you're going to hear a narration that says, "Did you know texting and driving cause nearly 25% of all car accidents?" Now, because the next thing on my screen is going to change to something different, I want to do a new storyboard or a new set of boxes here for me to fill out. All right, I want to change anytime whatever you see on the screen changes from one thing to something different. So when the viewer is going to be looking at something different, I want a new set of boxes for that every single time. So in this second shot, what I'm thinking is maybe I want to have somebody actually texting and driving. All right. Notice my sketch here is just that. It's a sketch. It's not extremely detailed. I don't want to spend 3 days drawing pictures for this because this is just to give me an idea on what I want it to roughly look like. Okay. So I'm thinking a person holding a phone and texting with like a road somewhere in the background. Again, I'm going to have some narration that says that is 1.6 million accidents a year. Okay? Then I want another picture to show up where I want to have an actual car accident. I want to show someone who's been injured because of somebody texting and driving. And again, my dialogue is going to say 11 people die every day. Here, for my next one, this is going to be a title or some text I just want on the screen that says, "Is a text worth a life?" And then again, my narration is going to say the same thing. Okay? And I'm going to continue on and go through the rest of my storyboard and planning out my movie on paper before I start actually putting my movie together. All right? So your storyboard is like your rough draft of your movie. Just like you'd write a rough draft before you write a paper, this is the rough draft of your movie. Now, the other really cool thing that a storyboard does is this gives you an essential list of exactly what you need before you put your picture together. So when you're ready to sit down in iMovie and start assembling your movie, I need to have all of these things. So if I wanted a picture of somebody texting and driving, I need to find that picture, all right? Or I need to take that picture. If I wanted some video of two people talking, then I need to videotape that, all right? So my storyboard gives me a list of exactly what I need to have. Now, anywhere I have text, iMovie has the ability to create my own text, so I could use iMovie to generate that text, or if I want to, I could actually find a text image or find an image on the website that would exist that contains that text. So for example, 25%, I could probably find a picture that says 25% if I wanted to use that instead of using iMovie to create that text. So a lot of people ask, how many storyboards do I have to have? That all depends on your movie. You need a new storyboard anytime something changes. So if what the person is viewing or hearing or seeing is different, then yeah, you need a new storyboard for that. Again, they shouldn't take very long to create. They're just sketches. You can still change your mind later. All right. For this particular 30-second movie, I have 10 shots or 10 storyboards that I have filled out for this one movie that's only going to be about 30 seconds long. But that's because what changes on the screen, what they look at, is going to change about 10 times. All right. In this case, I have some text here. All right. And the rest of mine are going to be pictures. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pictures and 2 text things that I'm going to create in iMovie to generate my storyboard. Now you also notice that all of my images are different. I don't want a picture of the same thing over and over and over again. All right, the user or the viewer of my video is going to get really bored if they keep seeing the same thing and nothing changes. So I want to make sure that I use a variety of different images, different views, different camera angles if I can, when I'm searching for pictures that give me a nice variety and keep the viewer from getting bored because the screen never changes or it always looks exactly the same. Now, am I going to be able to find all of these images exactly the way I'm picturing them? Probably not. So chances are, depending on how specific your image is, I may be able to find it, I may not. If I can't, then I might have to change up a little bit on what I can find. But chances are you'll be able to find something pretty similar. So I need to find 8 pictures, and that's where I'm going to head next. Now, when I want to start looking for pictures, one of the best places to go to find pictures is Google. All right, so when I go to Google, I can go ahead and I can search for whatever it is that I need. Now again, I'm going to refer back to my storyboard. So in this case, I need a picture of somebody texting and a road in the background. All right, so I might search for things like texting and driving or phone and driving or something along those lines. And again, if I search and I don't find what I'm looking for, I can search and change my terms up until I find the exact picture I want. Now, this is a web search, so it's searching the web for these things. But at the top up here in Google, I have an option to choose images. And when I click on images, this will show me just pictures of texting and driving. Now, when I'm looking for pictures, I have a lot of different options to choose from here. All right. In this case, it looks like I'm pretty lucky. There's a lot of pictures that are pretty similar to what it is that I'm looking for. Now, because I have so many to choose from, I'm going to be a little picky, and I'm going to make sure that the picture that I choose is a current one, is a one that's nice and large and easy to see, and one that I think is going to look good in my project. So, for example, this is a picture that is essentially what I'm looking for. I got somebody texting, I got a road behind it, but look at the age of this phone. All right, this phone is looking a little outdated. So instead of using something like this, I'm going to choose maybe a picture like this one, all right, which has a much newer version of a phone. Doesn't have to be the most recent, but at least it's something that is of this decade as opposed to some of these older pictures. Now, when I find the picture I want to click on it. I want to open it up nice and large here. Once I open it up nice and large, all right, this is the version of the picture that I want to save. All right, I don't want to save these little tiny pictures. These are what are called thumbnails. And if I save these tiny thumbnails and then try blowing them up really big on my screen, they're going to look blurry. All right, so I want to make sure that I click this image, open it up nice and large, and then once I've done that, I can right-click on this picture, and depending on my browser, I'll have an option to save this image, save it as, choose to save it to my desktop, or however I want to do it. Every browser calls it slightly different. They might say downloading instead of saving, but it works the same way. All right. I could also drag and drop. If I click on this image and drag and drop, I can drag and drop that image to be able to save it to my desktop that way as well. Now, it's also good to point out that it gives the source of my image. So this image is coming from the Huffington Post, and then this is the exact title of that image. Now, depending on what your teacher is requiring you to do, if you need to cite this image, if I clicked on the View Image button, it opens up to that image all by itself on the web, and it gives me the link to that image. So I could copy and paste that link and maybe paste it into a doc that I'm going to save later for my bibliography. So I'm going to go through and find all the pictures that I need to match my storyboard.